Good morning, everybody. How is it going? Happy Monday. Nice cold spring day today, but it's nice outside. Looks beautiful. All right. Well, let's jump into it. We have a lot going on this week. It's a big DTD2 week with N and R. So, what questions do you have as we get started?
I have
Nothing,
so many
huh?
questions. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, I have questions for you if you don't have questions for me, Alex.
Why don't you start?
How did you get 20 people to your open house? What do you
I
think?
don't know. I don't know if it was me or because or if it was the listing agent because and I don't even know if it was the listing agent or if it was the house itself because before I even did any marketing, there were two offers on the property. By the end of my open house, there were 10 offers on the property, and I'm representing one of them. And I don't know if it was just me or the house itself was just incredibly well priced for that area, and there was just a lot of demand for it. My marketing was simple. I just posted it online. I had a strategy where I posted earlier in the week about a new listing. Once the listing went live, I posted the picture of it and said I was doing an open house on Saturday. And then I did some showings before the open house, recorded a walkthrough at the same time. And then I posted that walkthrough Saturday morning. And all of those got decent views. I'm not sure if anybody came from specifically from them, but almost 90% filtered in from the online listing. So I'm sure it helped a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and the more you do, the more it helps you indirectly, I guess. Like you post on your social media that you're doing an open house. It's just one more reminder that you're doing real estate. So
Yeah.
those little things are always great. So,
I did have one question. It didn't come to this, but multiple people at one point did want to use me as their agent to put down an offer. If that did happen, how would you go about that situation?
um, that's a great question. Usually you only want to represent one person per house. Otherwise it gets weird. So if that does happen, you can just say something like, "Oh, I actually already have a buyer that made an offer, but I have an agent here that's standing by just for this scenario." And that's when you call someone else on this phone, call and say,
Okay,
"Hey,
cool.
uh, do you want to pay me a big referral fee for gifting you a client to make one offer?"
Okay, cool. That's kind of what I was thinking too. So you just refer it
Hmm.
right on.
Yep, and collect a referral fee because you did the work to find it. They're just kind of there.
Perfect.
So
I mean, I got tons more stuff that I'm going through this morning if nobody else has questions.
keep it going.
So I just signed this BBA with him over the weekend on Saturday,
Uh-huh.
and it got returned to me on command, and it's missing the wire fraud, the due diligence, and the BBA disclosure. Those are pretty standard for every BBA. Should I just put that in a packet?
Um, Brittany might hate me, but to be honest, I get the buyer broker agreement signed and I let her do the rest. Brittany, how should an agent handle that? That should they work
Get
on
the
getting all
BBA
of it?
signed, and then when you go under contract, I will send over the rest of the buyer docs at that point. I found that a
Okay.
lot of buyers don't like signing a bunch of paperwork before they've even signed on a house. So
Right.
I find it's easier to send that over once they're already under contract because they're excited and everything. Um, so did you try to submit it? Is this a closed buyer or a new buyer? You're just submitting all the buyer docs ahead of
He's a
time.
brand new buyer, so I uploaded his contact to ML or to Command last night, and then
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously uploaded. I'm still kind of figuring out the documents part of Command, so I uploaded the BVA and it was all filled out correctly, and then it says send to MC at the top, and I just stabbed in the dark and sent it to the MC, assuming that was the correct thing to
Gotcha.
do.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
like
don't worry about sending it to the MC until we're closing the deal.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yep.
yeah, that's the trigger for Dean and the people in the back end to look over all of the documents. And so when they looked at it, they're like, well, you're missing all of these documents, which
Okay,
makes sense
gotcha.
because you didn't even send them for them to sign yet. But even
Yep,
if you
they're
had
probably
everything,
laughing
they'd
at
be
me.
like, great, you have all the documents, but then there's like no payment, there's nothing. So yeah. To be
Okay,
honest, I haven't clicked that button in years and years because I make Brittany do it.
good to know. Okay, that button stressed me out, so I'm gonna leave it to you, Brittany.
Sounds good.
Okay, I got another question. My
Okay.
buyer's timeline, he's working with, I have the email up right here. It's interesting. He's working with a lender who's Sierra West Funding. Has anyone ever worked with them?
Isn't that a jeweler as well?
Sierra West Funding. I have no idea. So I have their proof of funding letter here, and I was just wondering if I should put it in the, I'm assuming this is financing and not cash. It's weird the way they wrote it.
It that is strange. I wonder if it's like a hard money lender because
It
proof of
is.
funding sounds very different than like a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter.
Yeah, has a hard money line of credit available.
Yep.
So would that be
That's
financing
that's
still?
typically cash. That's seen as
That
the
is
same as
cash.
cash. Yeah, because you're not getting a loan from a normal lender. Now, that being said, you still might want to mark financing on all of the documents because technically they are getting
They're
financing.
financing
So
it.
if and I talked to him about this, like, does your hard money lender have any criteria? Like, do you need an appraisal, or are you just good to say, hey, I found a house, give me this much money, and they just do it? Um,
It even says in here about the appraisal, it's not subject to appraisal or condition of home or asset. However, due diligence will be done by lender. This might be a better question. I can show you the whole letter in your office here in a few minutes, but I was just curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, typically, hard money lenders don't require appraisals. They're not like the same with the financing. So what most buyers will do if they're using hard money like this is they can do it as basically it's a cash deal. You don't have to check the financing boxes, but you do have to verify that you will get the money by like the due diligence deadline, for example. And so, however long that's going to take
Right.
the who's ever funding the loan to do their due diligence, um, you'll just want to make sure that the due diligence deadline is out that far, and then you don't have to even worry
Which,
about the financing deadline.
and he's done this before. He told me his timeline. He wants to close on the 26th, which is next Monday.
Oh,
Does that
cool.
sound anywhere close to reasonable?
Yep, except for it is a holiday that day.
I pushed it back to the 27th. I saw that, but theoretically next week.
Yeah. Yeah, typically hard money lenders have like a few criteria that they're looking at, but it's just to make sure that it's not a dumb investment. And sometimes it's even more they trust the person more than the asset. You know, if he's done a few
Right.
of these, knows the person with the money, they're a little more lax because it's basically their money. Do you trust this person to get it back to you?
Right. Cool. All right. Well, that's everything I got.
Sweet. Sounds like a successful weekend. Don't
It's a
let
competitive
the
offer. I'm
random leads
excited.
fall through the cracks. It sounds like this was a good one to generate leads.
Yeah,
Now we just need to be in contact with them. So I would say reach out, start sending them houses, use
100%.
them as like a, hey, this was a great deal. Do you want me to go find something else that you're not competing with 10 other people?
100%. I'm doing CMAs for people. I'm doing listing alerts already for people. I'm still catching up. There were 20 people that I got to go through, but hopefully by the end of the day, I'll have them all in command with follow-up plans ready.
Sweet. I love it. I love it. Love it.
I almost
Okay.
took someone from their agent over the weekend. I'm still waiting for him to respond, but that's kind of my big win. I might have stolen a client.
Yes, as long as they don't have a buyer broker agreement that covers everything that's not expired. Now, if they happen to do that, they can cancel that. They need in writing that it's canceled. And I would get a verification of this. So if they cancel their agreement, you should have that agreement shown canceling. And you still might even want to call that agent or that agent's broker and say, hey, I just want to verify I'm starting to work with this client. They mentioned that they canceled this agreement. Are you under that same impression? Because there's nothing worse than closing on a house and doing all of the work, and then you get a message from a different brokerage saying, thanks for closing this house. Here is our agreement that states that we will be making the commission, so please pay that over. Um, so be very clear with that if they're canceling that they are canceled. Um,
Right on.
but if it's per
We
property, you can list those out in the buyer broker agreement, and just don't close on one of those houses, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I spoke to him all about that. He didn't respond to my text yesterday, so I'll just give him a call this week and see what he's thinking, get more information.
Cool. Cool. Okay, well, like I said, we got a lot going on this week. DTD2 is the N and the R. So call your Nelsons and your Ramirez. Look at that. Two people I just came off the top of my head. Usually can't do that. Um, and then today we have uh Colby. Nope. Cody Felberg. I was looking at Colby's name on the screen here. Cody Felberg is teaching Rise today. It's all about working with your database, which is probably the best way to find closings. So if you're like, dang, I want to find a closing, working your database is the best. So that's what this whole week is about, working your database. So we'll start there, then move on to the 36 touch on Wednesday. So jump on down to that. We'll be starting at 9:30. So I will see you guys all there. Have a great one.